The New York Giants can't buy a break.
On today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition of the Odd Coaches Podcast, Dr. Adams and Coach Francis discuss Week 5 of the NFL season, as well as providing predictions for Week 6. Welcome to today's show. Dr. Keith Adams is the president of the CKA Save Project, a nonprofit organization designed to assist student athletes and the people who work with them through educational and professional development. He is a career academic and athletic leader with close to 30 years of experience on the high school and college levels. He has won numerous championships and epitomizes professionalism. Coach Mike Franchise Francis is one of the most successful football and basketball coaches in the state of Maryland. He too is a career academic and athletic leader with close to 30 years of experience on the high school and college level and is self-admittedly a little rough around the edges. Both men have mentored countless student athletes, teachers, and coaches using their unique methods and approaches to leadership. Both men also share a unique and special friendship that was cultivated often through their unique perspective of life and leadership. Dr. Adams through his extensive educational background and Coach Francis through his life experiences. Can these two men share a podcast without driving each other crazy? Welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today is my tag team partner, the Johnny Grunge to my Rocco Rock and the Public Enemy, the icon, the showstopper, the main event, and the reason why we are here, Coach Mike Francis. And Coach, thank you for indulging my ECW the last few episodes, my friend. How are you?
I'm well. How you doing today?
You see, I'm kicking it back to ECW, so I must be in a good mood, man.
I don't know if you're ever going to AEW or you ever do that.
We've got episodes for a long time, man. We are invested. And that is a perfect segue because this is our Top Shelf Tuesday edition of the Odd Coaches Podcast. In this episode, we will wrap up Week 5 of the NFL season and preview Week 6. But I wanted to share with our audience that we decided to formally name each show as we move to a 3-episode-a-week format. Yes. Top Shelf Tuesday, we're going to be all things NFL. Wind Up Wednesday will be all things basketball, both college and pro. And we have our Throwdown Thursday, which is all things college football. And as the seasons end and begin, we'll shift our topics, but the format of the show will be just as you like it. Mike and I, along with our super producer, Kelly, shout out to Kelly. We want to thank everybody seriously for all your support, man. Mike, before we begin today's show, anything you want to add to that, my friend?
I want to thank all the listeners as we continue to get better at this and continue to grow this. And again, shout out Kelly for his suggestions and making sure that he stays on top of us. And I owe him a lot anyway for always editing out, my mic control and my headset issues. So.
Yes, indeed. So fans, you guys deserve the best, and we're going to give you the best week after week. So let's open up the good stuff off the top shelf and begin today's episode. Segment 1, Week 5 NFL thoughts. Coach, I have no idea where you're going, my friend. What are you thinking about as we wrap up Week 5?
Man, I'm starting to look, this is that quarter poll starting to see. We got 3 conferences with at least 3 teams over 500. So they kind of developing on their own. The Arizona Cardinals are undefeated. Whoa,
You've been talking about Kyler Murray all year, man.
Man, they undefeated. So, and the other thing, which ain't exactly a positive, but you can't have 230 yards offense as the New York Jets. You just can't do that. In today's NFL, you can't do it. So that's my thoughts.
Well, I got to tell you, I got 3 things on my mind. And number 1, Tampa Bay flexed today. Man, Tampa Bay looked like Tampa Bay was supposed to look. But I got to tell you to keep an eye on Brady's thumb injury. But they were slinging that hash. I think he had like 5 touchdowns. So, they're about the business. But again, that thumb injury, keep an eye on it. 2, the New York Giants can't buy a break. Left tackle out. Top running back, out. Starting quarterback, out. Man, bless their hearts. We wish them well. Shout out to Dave Murray, legitimate Giants fan. But man, you can't buy a break. But Coach, the biggest thing that has gotten my attention is the Jacksonville Jaguars have lost 20 in a row. And let me hit some data for you. Thanks to ESPN's article for my information. For one, they're 0-5 and are a legitimate threat to reach the Tampa Bay Bucks' record. They play the Miami Dolphins in London on next Sunday before their bye week.
You stole my thunder.
Then they travel to Seattle, where they've never won. Then they come home against Buffalo. Then they go to Indianapolis. Then they have back-to-back home games against San Francisco and Atlanta. And if they lose all their games, they're at 26 in a row. And their next game is the LA Rams. So it is set up. So I'm going to tell you now in advance, for the next few weeks, every week a Jacksonville Jaguar game is going to be on my list. But before I close this segment out, I cannot let it go. I know you've said, okay, man, just drop it. But Urban Meyer didn't get on the plane. So last week when we taped, this broke. And it was on social media, but not national media. And we're not TMZ. We're not scandalous. So that's not what we're about. So we let stuff sit. But we talk about it. But once it's national, I want to talk about it.
It's our story.
And leadership's a big deal to me. Okay.
Yeah.
On my wall, I'm looking at my doctorate in organizational leadership. And as a coach, everybody hated the bus, but you know what? We all hated the bus together because everybody was on the bus. So if I can get on the bus, if my best players can get on the bus, even if they live 5 minutes away from the game we played at, how can this guy making goo gobs of money not get on the airplane and go back with his team? We've all played teams and folks that were close to our houses and former high schools, former colleges. And before the game, we shake hands, we kiss the babies, we say what up. But once the game starts, we're all locked in the game mode. And when the game ends, we got to go back home.
Time to go.
We'll talk to you later. So I had to get that off my chest. It's a bad situation in Jacksonville. And now I've got my eyes firmly squared on this trek to the all-time NFL losing streak. Coach, any thoughts? Because I did go on that one.
Question is, and I'm not making excuses for the guy. Of course, you know that, but he didn't get on the bus home, right? They were home though.
No,
right?
He was in Ohio. They played Cincinnati or whoever they played, and he stayed and was at his restaurant. Everybody else got on the airplane back to Jacksonville, so he didn't even get on the plane
to come to the game today.
No. This was the last week situation to get him in that situation to begin with.
Okay.
They were playing in Ohio and he stuck around
for his restaurant.
Went to his own restaurant.
Okay.
And that's how he got in trouble instead of going back home with his team that has just lost 4 straight. Yeah, man. Good luck with that, pal.
Okay. I'm not going to make an excuse for him. I agree with you on that. And we always ride the bus and it is what it is. I agree with you on that, but his restaurant or not, he can't explain it now.
And the press conference was terrible. And yeah, so I am now on the official. I'm watching every Jacksonville game. And as you remember in our preseason episode, I wanted to see how this experiment went anyway. I was very excited to see how it went. But if you notice something about his career, and you cannot take away anything from his college stats, but something tended to happen at almost every stop he went at. We've talked about Florida. We talked about Ohio State, and sometimes he gets the sniffles and the headache and whatever when the things don't go right. Yeah. So, with that said, folks, we're going to take a brief break. We're going to take a brief break and we'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The vision of the CKA SAVE project is to use the combination of academics and athletics as a catalyst to lifelong success. Thus, the CKA SAVE project works to improve student-athlete academic and athletic performance by assisting student-athletes with transitional and transferable skills such as time management and organizational skills, along with the ability to self-advocate to help improve performance. However, we cannot do our work without the help of supporters like you. Consider donating to the CKA SAVE project. We accept tax-deductible contributions in a number of ways, including Venmo and Cash App at CKA SAVE project, or directly at the main page of our website, www.ckasaveproject.org. Simply click the donate button. We thank you in advance for your continued support.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. And in this segment, we're going to talk about our second tier stories from NFL Week 5. And I'm tagging to my partner, Coach Franchise. Coach, what else is on your mind today, my friend?
Second tier stories. What's on my mind? I would consider it an act of war for the NFL sending Jacksonville and Miami to London. If I'm an official of London, I take this as disrespect. If you're trying to send me something to represent American football, this is not the game that we want in our country. That's
but
not.
You had the Jets there today with Atlanta.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I wanted to give you some stats on that game. That really,
Please.
that was my other second tier story that you had me that you got me talking about here. So the Jets had 230 yards of total offense and still only lost by 7 points. So how bad is Atlanta? Let's think about that. Like 230 yards of offense, total offense. For NFL team and only lose by a touchdown.
And they had a shot at the end, if I'm not mistaken. They had a little bit of a drive or something.
Yeah, that's not good football.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you, and respect is given. My second tier thoughts is we got to give them props. Dallas is on a 4-game winning streak. Got to give them credit, man. Got to give them credit. Green Bay is on a 4-game winning streak. You have to give them credit. And the Los Angeles Chargers, I can't figure the whole thing out. They're on a 3-game winning streak. And that kid's playing on a very marginal contract, by the way. Playing very well, which means you can actually get some talent around them. So I had to start off with that. Second thing's bugging me is the say what. The Bears are 3-2. Say what? What? The Bears are 3-2. Carolina's lost 2 straight. So, well, it was nice while it lasted. And the San Francisco 49ers are on a 3-game losing streak. Sorry, following. I know you actually like them, but what is going on with that? And the last thing on my mind, again, I bugged you earlier this week, and now it's time to publicly try not to get ourselves in trouble. But John Gruden, okay? John Gruden made comments in 2011 when he was working for ESPN. I understand that. John Gruden gave a very weak apology, in my opinion. It seems like there's going to be no further consequences. And I wanted to pause because I cannot claim DeMaurice Smith is a friend, but DeMaurice Smith did something for CKA that he didn't have to do. So while we were having a CKA holiday tournament, DeMaurice Smith's son, who was a lacrosse Division I player, played basketball for a team that was in one of our tournaments. DeMaurice Smith came in as any parent. And we try to give parents a great experience. We try to give anybody who was at any of our events a great experience. And you actually coached in some of our events. So I met him. I actually, knew who he was and, said some kind words to him. And he actually looked at the program and he said, I love what you're trying to do to help the kids. Is there anything I can do? Please let me know. And Mike, you've known me for 20-some years. I'm going to actually ask. So I actually asked him to speak at our awards night. And he put it on his calendar. He made it there. He gave a great impassioned speech to our award winners. And then he did something he didn't have to do. He actually took questions. He gave us time when he didn't have to. In the midst of contract negotiations and whatever, he came to our event and gave us time. And I'm forever grateful for folks who actually do something instead of not doing something. So, no, the league should probably not do anything when somebody was not employed with them. But I am disappointed that the Raiders organization and John Gruden himself did not pause and say, you know what, I'm going to take some time off and deal with that. I really wanted the Raiders as an organization to take a stronger stance. So I've said my piece. I want everybody to know that's how I felt. And Coach, any thoughts on that as we get you off mute?
I just wondered, like, I know you say pause and take a break or take time. I I never forget who is in charge of these organizations and teams. Like, we always got to remember these owners are who they are, and if it wasn't for the guy in the Clippers, like, no one would believe that it was the way they are. That's
Mm-hmm.
thus. I mean, you remember the book they wrote, $1 Million Slave, and
Yes, indeed. Bill
they,
Roden.
yeah,
Bill Roden.
so those kind of things, I don't see owners really like. Now, if it was a female thing, I think it would have been up in arms with the Me Too movement and things like that going on. But honestly, I didn't expect the Raiders to do anything out of it. It's sad, but it's just, unfortunately, that's how I looked
Yeah,
at the situation.
and those hollow gestures, and that's what I call them, hollow gestures. Having something in the end zone like in racism, or the NFL cares,
That's
or what have
marketing.
you. Yes. So when something really happens, I mean, what he said was ridiculously disrespectful, and just to let it go with a my bad and an
Mm.
apology, and to have, again, people like Mike Tirico on TV saying I've worked with him, and Tim Brown said I played with him, he coached me. Man, sometimes the individual has to be the one to say, let me just take a break and do something. But I didn't want to hold the show hostage, but I definitely wanted to get it out. And I appreciate you as my partner letting me get that out, because that has caused me pause all week, and my background. So with that, we're going to take a quick pause and come back to talk about my rotten, strictly for entertainment purposes only weekend. Got to get better, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project, is releasing a book this fall called Finding the Balance: My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. The goal of this book is to give greater insight into student-athlete motivation to improve student-athlete academic and athletic success through the lens of Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic journey, from being an underperforming student-athlete to an academic and athletic leader. This book is also designed to be a guide for student-athletes, parents, teachers, coaches, administrators, and anyone else who has a passion to help student-athletes succeed academically and athletically. You can pre-order your copy of the book directly from our website at www.ckasaveproject.org. This book is scheduled for release in the fall of 2021.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast, and in segment 3, we will make predictions for week 6 and talk about my bad week 5. But hey, it happens. So first of all, the Odd Coaches podcast top 5. Tampa Bay is number 1 for me this week. The LA Chargers are number 2. Buffalo, although there's a game going on right now, they look pretty safe. Knock on wood. We're going to have them at 3. Green Bay with Mr. Relax at quarterback is 4, even though they tried to lose the game several times today. And the boy genius, the LA Rams are 5 with Dallas right on the outside looking in. They are firmly in the crosshairs, and I don't want to be a jinx, but yeah, Cleveland and Tennessee is about to start to roll that thing. Merchandise coming soon. Talk to me, sir, about the franchise 5.
Did you just put Tennessee in that?
Tennessee's rolling
Titans?
through now, man.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
they're going to roll through.
All right. I'll give you my top 5, and then we'll talk about the games to watch for this week. I'm going with the Cardinals because they're undefeated. Cowboys, uh, Chargers, Green Bay, Tampa Bay. That's my 5 right now.
Yes, and Arizona should have been somewhere in my 5.
Mhm.
You absolutely are correct with that.
I'm going with them. Games to watch, if you could briefly. Uh, the Chargers coming to Baltimore. You know how we talk about that West Coast to East Coast, that whole travel thing.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So
And
next
it hasn't worked out well for me the last 2 years.
So Chargers, Ravens game, Cardinals, Browns. That's going to be a good one. Bills and the Titans. That goes right back to what we just talked about with the Titans. Raiders, Broncos, believe it or not, and Rams, Giants because of that West Coast travel again. Like that's perfect games for the Rams and Chargers to drop coming this way. That's about it. So.
All right. Well, in terms of week 5 games, quite frankly, I didn't have a good week. I had New England and Houston +8. Houston took care of business, and the Patriots won the game. See, that's how it was supposed to work, but it didn't work the rest of the way out. I had the Giants +7, and needless to say, Dallas
Woke up.
They handled that business. The one that I really blew was Cleveland and the Chargers under 47, and I think the Chargers actually scored 47.
Yep, 47-42.
That's an oops. And San Francisco versus Arizona, I had San Francisco +5. I believe Arizona beat them by 7. So 1-3. The season record is 11-8. It is still 57%, and my goal is 53%. So I'm still there. We live to fight another day. And in terms of my games of the week, one is Miami. Jacksonville is my game of the week in London because, hey, man, there's a train wreck coming, and I'm going to watch it. They've got to get a win, and they better do it fast. And, man, I don't know if that's going to happen. I've got Green. And the game's on like 9:30 in the morning, too.
Yes.
So we'll be watching it while we tape many of our episodes. I got Green Bay and Chicago, man. Chicago's 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
If they win this one, they're tied for first place. Another one I have is Kansas City at the Washington football team. Reason why is, one, man, Mahomes is going to be down the street, man. I might try to sneak a ticket in because that guy's good. But two, Kansas City actually hadn't been playing well. Washington hadn't been playing well. Kansas City better start playing well real quick, or it's not going to look good for them.
No.
I also had the Chargers at Baltimore. Again, that West Coast to East Coast thing hasn't worked out well for the strictly for entertainment purposes only lines. But the kid at the Los Angeles Chargers is playing very well.
Yes.
And Baltimore plays on Monday night. And by the time we tape again, Baltimore could be on a 2-game losing streak.
Yeah.
And we don't want that. And yeah, we need to start. Keith needs to start paying attention to Arizona because although I think Cliff Kingsbury got a job on a humble, the proof's in the pudding, and Bill Parcells said you are what your record says you are.
That's right.
So if they're undefeated, they're undefeated. And another thing, Coach, that we got to start thinking about is bye week start this week. So teams are getting some rest. And now we've got that other element of teams coming off a bye, and like Tampa Bay's playing on Thursday, so that's a 10-day break for an elderly quarterback. So these are the types of things that we'll be taking a look at. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up, sir?
Yeah, I want you to take a look at who the Cardinals have beat before we leave. The 49ers, the Rams, the Vikings, and the Titans. I think it's time you start giving them a little attention.
I think it is time too. So they are on my watch list. And for strictly for entertainment purposes only, they might get a 10 spot on them next week. Again, for fun. And with that, on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, I am Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Eye Coaches podcast. And we will see you on the sidelines. Take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. You can follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.